Lin Yan traveled to swallowing the Starry Sky, and became a soldier defending against the invasion of the Beast Tide. Fortunately, the Awakening System panel. Learn skill inheritance from swordsmanship and obtain swordsmanship. All things / main task rewards, second skill tree opens Mind Master, promoted to God of War level, reward superhuman cells, trigger system update, send gift package. Intelligent life, after the wind, suddenly looking back. Lin Yan has gone from being a military warrior to becoming the supreme existence of the universe. The river of fate is his creation, and the will of the primitive universe is his servant. He is the Lord of all things, the King of all gods. Follow the military route, do not copy the plot, only involve the original storyline, and do not seize the opportunity of the protagonist, keywords of the novel. The Lord of all things devouring the Starry Sky, no pop-ups, the Lord of all things devouring the Starry Sky. Download the full text, the Lord of all things devouring the Starry Sky. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Blood and Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Blood and Fire, boom. The missile, carrying a white smoke tail, fell into a surging tide of beasts, with a deafening explosion sound, sparks and smoke permeating the battlefield. The monsters' camp was briefly dispersed, but still surged forward crazily. The sound of bombs, gunshots, roars, and roars. Blood and fire. The war between humans and monsters. All the incredible scenes suddenly appeared before Lin Yan's eyes. And he was wearing a combat uniform, hiding behind the cover, with a sniper rifle lying flat in front of him. Press the trigger instinctively in your hand. A huge black eagle was directly hit in the eye by a bullet, instantly killed, and fell down. Kill an F.level monster and gain 4 soul power. A transparent virtual panel appeared in front of me, marked with the words. This line of text instantly disappears. Is this a game? Lin Yan's mind twitched, and the virtual panel reappeared, displaying his personal information. Host. Lin Yan. Gender. Male. Age. 18. Identity. First-year student of National Defense University, Second Lieutenant of Beijun District, Tianjin Base City Realm. None soul power. For skill. None equipment. M64 Sniper Rifle, G.level, main task. Path of the Strong. The realm has been elevated to warrior level. Task reward. Advanced Guidance Technique, Taishang Induction, Regional Tasks. 1. On July 11, 2056, a medium-sized animal tide occurred on the 021 defense line in Tianjin Base City. Please assist the Northern Military Region in suppressing the animal tide. Task reward. 1. Dragon Blood 2. Rank promotion, accumulate military achievements and obtain the rank of Major. Task reward. S.level fighting skill, military road killing fist. Lin Yan couldn't help but feel a bit lost. He had always lived in a peaceful era, had never experienced war, and had never heard of any monster waves. But in that tragic car accident on a snowy night, he knew very well that he couldn't survive that accident. His left leg was injured, and the intense pain constantly reminded him, this is reality. It is a truly ongoing war. If we use a more reasonable guess, he has traveled to a world where he can hear the familiar Chinese language from his combat headphones, and from this alone, it can be concluded that there is some kind of connection. He continued to pull the trigger, and his body could feel the strong recoil of the firearm, but his physical fitness should be excellent and did not have any impact on him. But he did not inherit his original marksmanship skills and had no accuracy at all. Damn it! Lin Yan secretly said in his heart. His gaze was fixed on the black sniper rifle in front of him, which carried a special industrial beauty. The M64 sniper rifle, G.class, has a caliber of 12.7 mm and an effective range of 3500 m. The gun body is doped with second.class Crow alloy, improving accuracy and durability, and can cause effective damage to G.class monsters' skill inheritance. 1. Hot Weapon Specialization, Passive, Level F, Skill Owner. Lin Yan, requires 2 soul power to learn, 2nd. Precision Shooting, Level F, Skill Owner. Lin Yan, requires 2 soul power to learn. Lin Yan's eyes lit up as he realized that this system still had this function. Although this soul power should have a wide range of uses, in the battlefield environment, these 2 skills are urgent and naturally cannot be saved. Moreover, with these 2 skills, he can quickly integrate into this battlefield, kill monsters, and gain soul power. 4 points of soul power disappear. Hot Weapon Specialization and Precision Shooting appeared in the skill bar, and a stream of heat flowed from the sniper rifle in front of him down his arm into his body. Gunfire shot everywhere in my mind. Lin Yan quickly mastered the knowledge of using many types of firearms and other hot weapons, and the sniper gun in his hand gave him a wonderful feeling of limb extension. At this moment, a flamingo carrying flames quickly dived over, and Lin Yan didn't have time to adjust the muzzle. He hastily picked up the M64 sniper rifle, rolled and dodged, brushing past the attack of the flamingo. In just this moment, the scorching heat on the body of the firebird burned the skin on his neck. Under the sharp claws of the firebird, the cover was completely destroyed. Lin Yan's pupils contracted, and a deadly sense of crisis struck him. The attacking power of this monster was too powerful. Shit! A blade of light flashed through his pupils. The firebird in front of me was cut off with a single blow, and the sharp aura carried by the sword light temporarily prevented the blood from flowing out of the firebird's body. What kind of knife technique is this? Lin Yan couldn't help but be shocked. He turned his eyes and saw a middle-aged man standing a few meters away. His combat uniform was very different from that of the soldiers present, and he didn't wear a combat mask. He was holding a blood-colored battle knife in his hand. He nodded coldly at Lin Yan, who also nodded in response. He adjusted his condition, changed the cover, and reassembled the firearms. There was no deliberate aiming. Pull the trigger directly. Bang! 1 shot hit. Kill 1 H.level monster and gain 1 soul power. Lin Yan pulled the trigger again, saw the prompt in front of him, squinted his eyes, and with a thought, the virtual panel no longer appeared. He fights and walks, and these monsters have a certain level of intelligence. Even H.level monsters with low intelligence are particularly sensitive to high-risk enemies. If the position is not frequently adjusted, it is easy to be targeted by flying monsters. Their flight speed is very fast, and powerful monsters can even break through the speed of sound, posing a high threat. We can't expect someone to rescue us in time every time. The firearm in his hand spat out flames, and Lin Yan didn't know if it was due to his innate instincts inherited from his original body, or if he was indeed well suited to such an environment. He had already mastered this rhythm, like a calm butcher, mercilessly harvesting life. Unfortunately, due to the performance of firearms, even effective hits cannot cause damage to powerful monsters or cause fatal kills. So he noticed that the harvest of soul power was quite limited. But there is no other way. He couldn't help but feel grateful that his first shot, which he had just crossed over, actually hit the eye of an F.level monster. The eyes of most creatures are weak in defense and deadly enough, which allowed him to successfully kill with the M64 sniper rifle and gain 4 points of soul power. I don't know how long it has been. In the distance, the roar of beasts stretched the tone one after another. It's the monsters conveying information. Lin Yan's breathing was already a bit rapid. Although his physical fitness was sufficient to withstand the recoil of M64, the prolonged high-pressure battle made him feel that his body and willpower had reached a certain limit. A soldier beside him took off his combat mask and breathed a sigh of relief. The impact of this wave of beasts has finally survived. Lin Yan raised his eyebrows and looked into the distance, only to see the monsters gradually retreating amidst their roar. The gunfire of the troops gradually subsided. The soldiers began clearing the battlefield and rebuilding the defense line according to the orders of their superiors. Lin Yan also breathed a sigh of relief. Today, this sudden encounter kept his spirit in a tense state. In this moment, he relaxed his mind, coupled with the exhaustion and injury of his limbs, and he fainted directly. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Swallowing the Starry Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Swallowing the Starry Sky. When he woke up again, he was already lying in the hospital bed of the military district. With his right hand undergoing intravenous infusion, Lin Yan looked at the white blanket and the smell of disinfectant in the air, and for a moment, he had a feeling that everything he had just experienced was just a dream. He opened the system panel. Host. Lin Yan. Identity. First-year student of National Defense University, Second Lieutenant of Beijun District, Tianjin Base City Realm. None Soul Power. 58 Skill. Precision Shooting, Level F, Passive Skill. Hot Weapon Specialization, Level F, the original soul of the body has dissipated. You can choose to obtain the original memory of the body, which requires 20 soul power. Do you want to perform memory fusion? Note. Memory fusion can improve the fit between the soul and body, eliminating negative effects. Lin Yan was first delighted, as he had gained a lot of 58 soul power points. Then he saw the prompt box below the system panel. He pondered and chose to accept. He can still afford 20 points of soul power now. The most important thing is that he is eager to understand his current situation. He does not know his original family, friends, and various information, and even does not know what kind of world this is. In this situation, he cannot play his role properly. If it makes people suspicious, it will inevitably cause bad trouble. After deducting 20 points of soul power, he only felt a sharp pain in his brain, and countless memory fragments appeared in his mind. He closed his eyes and slowly analyzed the information carried in these memories. This person is indeed called Lin Yan. He guessed about this on the system panel. He achieved excellent results in the college entrance examination last year and enrolled in Huaxia National Defense University. He has completed his first semester of studies, but as the school has not yet started, he is still a first-year student. During the vacation, he and several classmates applied to the school to join the military for training. During the process, they happened to encounter a wave of beasts attacking the 021 defense line of the northern military region, and they were also mobilized to participate in this war. However, he seemed to have discovered something even more remarkable in these memories. He is still only a senior student registered at the Extreme Martial Arts School, but due to his limited speed, he has not truly become a warrior. The owner of the Extreme Martial Arts School is named Hong, and is the strongest on earth. Looking at the world, only the owner of the Thunderbolt Martial Arts School, Thunder God, barely has the ability to compete with him. The RR virus that was difficult to suppress 40 years ago. The Great Nirvana period of humanity. A world where humans and monsters coexist. Evolved to this day, it belongs to the era of warriors. The combination of various messages stirred up a huge wave in Lin Yan's heart. This is a world that devours the starry sky. He was also a fan of novels in his past life, and he can be considered familiar with this book. When this book was serialized, it was extremely popular, and he even happened to attend the author's signing party and met the author once. Unexpectedly, I would be reborn into the world of this story. In this world, there are cosmic lords who can trace back to time and bring death back to life, immortal deities with endless longevity and immortality, and cosmic lords who govern countless star domains. They are towering and immortal, capable of shining for eternity. Even the existence known as the strongest in the universe can open up a small universe, speak freely, and is the supreme existence of the primitive universe. Lin Yan couldn't help but pursed his lips, his emotions mixed, and he didn't know whether to describe it as panic or divine interaction. However, the protagonist of the original story should be Luo Feng, who is located in the base city of Jiangnan. He is far away from the base city of Tianjing and has never heard of this name in his lifetime, so he should have not yet made a name for himself. However, there is no need to consider these things yet. Luo Feng has a good character and is upright, and there is no need to worry about any adverse effects he may have on himself as he grows up. He also has no intention of hugging his thighs, so there is no need to care about his existence early on. Since we have arrived here, everyone's goal is the path of the starry sky, and we will always meet when we step up high in the future. Lin Yan put these ideas behind him. What he needs to consider now is that his original mastery of firearms is excellent, but he is also skilled in a swordsmanship called Thunderbolt Sword, which can be considered quite accomplished. Although he has fused memories, this memory fusion only helps him understand his past, but cannot master his abilities. If his swordsmanship is still there, he can naturally learn it perfectly with the skills inherited from it. However, due to the low quality of that sword, it was unbearable in previous training and had no value left after being damaged. Therefore, it was discarded by him, and now it may have been melted into slag. Due to some delays, the sword has not been replaced yet. We need to find some ways to deal with this. However, it is not difficult to imagine that the Thunderbolt sword is a widely circulated swordsmanship. In military camps, one should be able to find martial artists who are good at this swordsmanship. If not, one can also find another swordsmanship. As long as one changes their lack of foundation in swordsmanship, it will be sufficient. At present, he is in a military camp and is caught up in a wave of beasts. The value of using hot weapons is even higher. After all, it is a large-scale battle, and even ordinary warrior-level warriors cannot compete with the monsters in the wave of beasts with their own strength. Moreover, he is not even a warrior. But it will be different in the future. Modern technology's thermal weapons are already very advanced, but they still lack the ability to deal with monsters. Firearm thermal weapons can only threaten junior beast-level monsters at the highest level, and even higher, they are national heavy weapons. Whether they can be obtained or not, they do not have portability. But cold weapons are different. Through unique methods such as swordsmanship and swordsmanship, warriors can unleash astonishing killing power, far more promising than firearms. With a systematic approach, embarking on the path of warriors is much easier than ordinary people. He was thinking that two young men in military uniforms walked into the hospital room. They had smiles on their faces and fruits in their hands. If you come to see me, just look at me. What other fruits do you bring? Lin Yan complained a bit, I'm not really a patient, I just suffered a minor injury and lost my strength for a while. The two people in front of him are both his classmates, one named Wang Bian and the other named Wei Xinran. They have good relationships, so they applied for military training together. They were originally 5 people in total, but there were still 2 who were not mobilized to participate in the war to suppress the beast tide. Wang placed the fruit on the table next to him, sat by the bed and patted him, exclaiming, "Your kid doesn't usually show off his strength. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. He killed the little puppies on the battlefield and made them scream. I heard from those veterans that you are determined to make contributions this time. I'm not showing off my skills anymore. I've always been in the top few in the school's firearms assessment, okay?" Although Lin Yan's speed has not yet reached the qualification line for martial artists, he does not have the ability to pass the assessment of quasi-martial artists. However, his marksmanship has always been strong, which is also his innate talent. They were chatting together. Wei Xinran said as he spoke, "I heard that this beast tide is different from usual. In previous years, there were usually signs of the beast tide before it occurred, and the military district could also prepare for improvement. However, this time, the 021 defense line was suddenly attacked without any warning, almost breaking through, and the station troops suffered heavy losses." Wang took over the conversation. He had always been fond of socializing, and any news could never escape his ears. In school, it was like this. A scout from the Night Eagle Reconnaissance Company of the 6th Army sent a message to the military district a few days ago, as if they had discovered the cause of the animal tide. However, this message is not complete, and the scout has also disappeared. Lin Yan listened to their words, his gaze fixed, and he opened the system panel, feeling lost in thought. Trigger Branch Task 3 is saving Private Zhang Wei. Private Zhang Wei from the Night Eagle Reconnaissance Company in the Northern Military Region seems to have discovered the secret of the Beast Tide and is currently in danger. Please launch a rescue operation against Private Zhang Wei. If the target of the task dies, the task will automatically become invalid. Task Reward. SS Level Body Method, Ghost, End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Liu Mingxuan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 3. Liu Mingxuan. Due to only some skin injuries on his body, Lin Yan did not stay at the military hospital. After completing the procedures, he returned to the military camp with Wang He and Wei Xinran. He was dressed in a dark green military uniform and was straight, with a slender figure and a handsome appearance. He could be called a sword eyebrow star, and had a good set of skin. Although it was wartime, the current 021 defense line has deployed a large number of soldiers from various military regions, and there is no problem of personnel shortage. They have just been removed from the defense line and do not need to enter training mode too quickly. They are all equipped with combat watches, and if the battle is tight, the command center will issue instructions directly. All soldiers who receive instructions must quickly gather and prepare for battle. Do you know anyone in the military camp who knows how to wield the Thunderbolt sword? Walking on the road, Lin Yan inquired to the two of them. I still have 38 soul power points, so it would be better to use them early and convert them into strength. The Flying Thunder Sword is a D-level swordsmanship that is widely circulated. Due to its strong and heavy momentum, wide opening and closing characteristics, it has a strong destructive power and is very suitable for soldiers in the military to learn. However, this is for warriors serving in the military. After all, this D-level swordsmanship is already sufficient to meet the needs of ordinary medium-level warriors, and it is difficult for non-warriors to get started. Soldiers below the rank of warrior usually focus their energy on the use of firearms and other hot weapons in order to realize their rightful value. Even for Lin Yan himself, he is only 18 years old, and there is only one last step left before he leaves martial arts. Weapons are mandatory in university, and he chose the sword technique of Thunder Running Sword. Nevertheless, he has struggled and worked hard to achieve some success. Unfortunately, his genetic optimization level is not yet qualified for the cultivation of genetic energy, so the power he uses is relatively limited. Lin Yan's current goal is to quickly advance to the level of a warrior and master the sword technique of Thunderbolt Sword, in order to enhance his combat effectiveness. Wei Xinran was puzzled and said, "Did you encounter any obstacles while practicing the Thunder Sword?" "Why, Lin Yan?" Lin Yan nodded and said, I feel like I've encountered a bottleneck. This is not a school, so I can't ask the teacher for advice. But I think there should also be powerful warriors in the military camp who have mastered this swordsmanship. I want to take advantage of the time now to come and learn from them. They are all truly skilled in practical work, and perhaps they have more insights and experiences in this area than the teachers in school. If we receive their guidance, it will be very helpful to us. Wang Bing clapped his hands and said happily, "Your words remind me. This is a good opportunity. My technique of not using a sword is a popular martial art in the military. I know there are several martial artists who are proficient in not using a sword, but I need to learn from them well. They are all students from National Defense University, the highest academic institution in China. However, during the holiday period, they were awarded the rank of second lieutenant for military training, which is highly valued. This kind of thing is always a good thing, and it is not harmful to come and ask for advice." Wei Xinran smiled and said, "Don't run away, just keep track of your information. If you run away, we'll see who to look for. Actually, it's okay to ask someone else, but here's a jack of all trades, so it's better not to be too close to seeking distance. Wang also touched his chin and said, as for the Thunder Sword, the commander of the 4th Company of the Tiger Regiment is trained in this. However, after thinking about it, the most powerful one would be Lieutenant Colonel Liu Mingxuan, the leader of the Military Region Security Department. Captain Liu is a mid-level warrior with a skilled Thunderbolt sword. He is currently practicing the most domineering skill in A-level martial arts, all things / Wang said with a sneer. However, I don't recommend you to ask Captain Liu for advice. Although he also comes from a national defense university and joins the army directly after 2 years of study, he is known for his aloofness and arrogance. Moreover, he is from the Military Region Security Office. He spoke weakly. Lin Yan and Wei Xinran couldn't help but laugh at his appearance. The Military Region Security Department was mainly responsible for daily law enforcement and disciplinary supervision within the military. Wang Bingsheng was naturally prone to punishment even during military training, and he had a natural fear of this institution. However, upon hearing his introduction, Lin Yan was pleasantly impressed. Liu Mingxuan's strength was strong, and he could only meet his own requirements. Wang couldn't help but feel his excitement and exclaimed in shock, "Brother, you don't really plan to ask Captain Liu for advice? I heard them say that it's like a demon king. If you behave well, it's okay. If you don't behave well, you'll have to suffer a lot." Lin Yan patted his shoulder and said, I'm not afraid, I have confidence." After speaking, he distinguished the direction and walked towards the position of the Military Region Security Office. Wang looked at his back and scratched his head, saying, Lin Yan has changed so much since he joined the army. Wei Xinran hooked up with him and chuckled, the army is a melting pot. What's so strange about it? Yesterday, I was not far away from Lin Yan on the battlefield. I noticed that the marksmanship was really amazing. I used to be very strong in school, which was good, but after going to the battlefield, I feel like I've been completely transformed. Wang bulged his chest and said, I need to double my efforts too. Let's go. Wait a minute, do you know anyone who knows my Night Rain sword? Wang thought for a moment and said, it seems like I haven't heard of the Night Rain sword yet. Let's take a walk, come with me, and I'll help you inquire. It should be there. North Military Region Security Office. Report, Lieutenant Lin Yan has arrived. Lin Yan followed a private soldier into the office of the security operation team. Although the current time was not suitable, he came here and asked if he could arrange a time to consult with group leader Liu. He received a positive response and was taken to the office. This surprised him. Sitting behind the office desk was a handsome man with a pair of fine eyes and a cold gaze. The military uniform of the police station was somewhat different from that of the army, with a similar style but entirely black. He looks very young, just in his early 20s. It must be said that such a young medium-sized general is extraordinary. Liu Mingxuan ignored Lin Yan and instructed the private soldiers, give me his file. Then he lowered his head and continued to handle his official duties. After a few minutes, the files were retrieved and placed on his desk. Liu Mingxuan opened them and looked carefully before standing up. He is about 1.85 meters tall, about the same height as Lin Yan. He walked over and stood in front of Lin Yan, staring at him. Are you Lin Yan? The voice is clear and cold. Lin Yan stood at attention and saluted, yes, sir. Liu Mingxuan's expression was calm, unable to see what he was thinking. My personality is not good. You should have heard of it before. It's okay to ask me for swordsmanship, but if my performance doesn't satisfy me, I will get angry. Lin Yan spoke loudly, report, I have confidence. If you have confidence, that's good. Liu Mingxuan nodded and turned around to take out a heavy battle sword from the middle of his desk. He held it in his hand and walked out of the office. Follow me. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Thunder Running Sword. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Thunder Running Sword. Lin Yan's gaze fixed on the battle sword in Liu Mingxuan's hand. The hilt and scabbard of the battle sword are both black, and the style is a regular standard battle sword, which looks a bit of a killing aura. In modern society, apart from some special martial arts or channels for forging swords, most warriors purchase standard war swords, among which the most well-known is the Blood Shadow series of war swords. Tiangang Battle Sword. A 7 model, forged from grade 4 crow alloy as the main material, can fight against most junior lord level monsters without worrying about damage. Lin Yan frowned. The market price of the A7 model of the Tiangang battle sword should be over 200 million yuan. Even ordinary warriors with high contribution value have the permission to purchase at half price, they still need to pay more than 100 million Chinese coins. Enough for him to use for promotion to the God of War level. Of course, warriors within the military system are different from ordinary warriors. Weapons and equipment are borne by the military and do not require personal payment. Even secret scripts are exchanged for merit. It can be said that clothing, food, housing, and transportation are all paid for by the state, and it also has a positive policy impact on families. However, normally speaking, with his strength, he should only be equipped with a 6-level weapons, indicating that the military district attaches great importance to Liu Mingxuan. It's a pity in Lin Yan's heart that he can only see the skill inheritance of weapons when he enters the equipment column with his hand. Otherwise, it would be beautiful for Lin Yan to immediately learn and take off from Wu Hu. Another point worth mentioning is that only weapons included in the equipment list that cause fatal kills can obtain soul power, which is a conclusion drawn from Lin Yan's experiments. You should know that he was originally planning to apply to launch missiles. However, it is not recognized that damage systems that exceed their own combat power. Well, it's also shameful to open cheats on top of them. How long have you been learning the Thunderbolt sword? Liu Mingxuan walked ahead and asked. In less than a year, I have chosen this swordsmanship course since the beginning of last year's school year, and it is a compulsory course. The martial arts course of National Defense University must choose a weapons secret script for learning, and the selection range is generally D. level. Me too. After speaking, there was silence, making Lin Yan almost suspect that he had just hallucinated. After a while, Liu Mingxuan continued, I also learned this swordsmanship from my freshman year, and it took me more than 2 years to fully master it. I put a lot of effort into it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Lin Yan has already had a rough understanding of this, he just hasn't inherited this swordsmanship, but he is still very familiar with the Thunder Sword through memory fusion. However, if he doesn't practice it diligently and fully turn it into his own, this knowledge only stays at the theoretical level. So the questions raised are all meaningful and not too simplistic. Liu Mingxuan's tone remained calm as usual, but he was generous in answering Lin Yan's questions. Lin Yan corresponded his answers to his own knowledge, giving him a sudden sense of clarity. Speaking of the rise, I almost wanted to test my sword on the spot. Fortunately, I realized in time that I was just talking on paper, but in fact, I didn't. If I were to test my sword on the spot, I was afraid I would be fooled by Liu Mingxuan's incredulous expression. They walked to the training ground of the military district. Liu Mingxuan drew his sword out of its sheath, revealing its pitch-black body with blood grooves on it. His expression remained calm and he said, I will only practice once, you need to keep an eye on it. The Thunder Sword is divided into 5 layers, each of which can condense a dark power to strengthen the sword's strength. The key to swordsmanship is nothing more than speed. Move like thunder, only then can you have the power of rushing thunder. He walked up to the specially designed doll at the training ground and slashed it with a sword, as fast as lightning and as shocked as thunder. Pushi. The air produces a strong explosion sound, which is somewhat similar to the sound of thunder. He just cut it with one sword, and the blade stopped 3 inches away from me. The sharpness of the sword has completely destroyed the training doll 3 inches away. The doll's body reveals a dense network of small patterns, and these patterns are still spreading at a deeper level. Liu Mingxuan glanced at the sword with a pair of fine eyes, then withdrew it. With a movement of the sword, it seemed to touch something, and the training doll turned into dust in a flurry. Pop 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 pop. The sound of applause came from beside. A few people around walked over with a smile on their faces, and a burly man said, "Captain Liu's thunderbolt sword is really impressive." The tone of speech was not very friendly. Liu Mingxuan furrowed his brow and ignored it. He looked up at Lin Yan and said, "Come and give it a try." Lin Yan looked around and saw that there was indeed a weapon rack for placing swords in this training ground. But few people know how to use those war swords, and there is no skill inheritance on them. Moreover, the purpose of my consultation this time is to touch the weapons in Liu Mingxuan's hands. "Captain Liu, can you lend me your sword?" Liu Mingxuan was a bit puzzled, but didn't think much and threw the battle sword in his hand over. "I just said, my sword is very heavy." Lin Yan took it and felt that the weight of the battle sword was indeed heavy, probably around 130 kilograms, but his own strength was still acceptable. He smiled and said, "It's okay." Tiangang Battle Sword Skill Inheritance. 1. Swordsmanship. All things / A. Level, 4th level, skill owner. Liu Mingxuan, requires 80 soul power to learn, 2nd. Thunder Running Sword, level D, level 5, skill owner. Liu Mingxuan, requires 15 points of soul power to learn. According to theory, A. Level swordsmanship is not only worth 80 points of soul power. Lin Yan speculates that Liu Mingxuan himself may not have fully mastered this skill called swordsmanship. All things / so his skill inheritance is 80 points of soul power. Despite this, his 38 soul power is still far behind. You consume 15 soul power and choose to learn the Thunderbolt sword. A wave of heat poured into Lin Yan's body from the Heavenly Gang battle sword. He remained calm and focused, looking at the battle sword in his hand, and his heart churned with countless insights. At this moment, the spine of the body was completely tense, and all the qi and blood in the body were condensed. The strength was condensed into 4 layers of dark energy through the sword. He walked briskly and slashed with a sword, with a murderous aura emanating from his pupils. The Heavenly Gang sword pierced the doll. Bang! Split into 4 parts. Liu Mingxuan's gaze fixed and his expression was slightly surprised. He walked over and picked up a fragment of a doll. The shattered surface on it was smooth like a mirror, without any roughness. It can be seen that the control of power is exquisite to the point of perfection. Not bad. He rarely showed a hint of laughter. Your thunder sword is very close to the 5th level, and your control over dark energy is also excellent. The rest only requires some effort, it's not difficult anymore. I just checked your profile and you're still a bit behind in terms of speed. You need to train more and not slack off. Become a warrior as soon as possible. The scenery of warriors is different. Lin Yan handed back the Tiangang battle sword and thanked him. "Thank you very much for the guidance of Captain Liu." He was also envious of the swordsmanship of all things in it, but now his soul power is not enough, so he can only look for another opportunity in the future. He deliberately concealed a bit of strength and did not show the 5th level dark power of the Thunder Sword, so as not to make Liu Mingxuan suspicious. Team leader Liu not only exuded his own authority, but also expected his students to be so powerful. Before he even reached the level of martial arts, he had mastered the D-level sword technique of Flying Thunder Sword so proficiently and deeply. The burly man stood on the side and exclaimed in admiration. Liu Mingxuan gave a cold glance and said in a cold voice, "Jia Yan, you don't have to be weird." He can only blame himself for the high cold incident, not me. After speaking, he just turned around and left. The burly man Jia Yan waved his fist in anger and ignored Lin Yan standing next to him. A few people flew away. Seeking collections, seeking recommended tickets, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Frost Mysterious Bird. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5 Frost Mysterious Bird. One day later. The combat watch on his wrist emitted a piercing alarm sound, and Lin Yan looked at it, which was a combat command. He quickly put on his combat suit and helmet, collected his weapons and ammunition, still using the M64 sniper rifle, but also received an SK-26 submachine gun with a combat firing rate of 100.120 rounds and powerful firepower, which can also cause damage to G.level monsters. The army gathered and rushed to the defense line. The scale of this beast tide is very large, and looking at the whole country, it can be considered the largest one this year, and there is no sign of calming down. The northern military region is still deploying troops from various places to guard the 021 defense line. The soldiers suffered heavy casualties. I heard that in yesterday's battle, a god of war level warrior was seriously injured, which made Lin Yan feel a bit heavy. His combat unit joined the battle. Lin Yan looked at the beast tied below the defense line, feeling a heavy sense of responsibility in his heart. If he couldn't stop these monsters, how would his fellow countrymen behind him bear what kind of calamity? Combat Task Activation. Beast Slash. Kill no less than 100 monsters at any level in this battle. Task Reward. Skill Upgrade times +1, below level E. When Lin Yan saw this task, he felt that it was better than nothing. I have already killed 100 monsters, and I still care about skills below level E. He fired fiercely at the SK-26 submachine gun in his hand, and the bullets quickly dissipated. He put aside his soul power and focused on killing the monster in front of him. At the same time, M64 is also intermittently harvesting their lives. The single unit killing power of the M64 is stronger than that of the SK-26, with a higher chance of causing fatal damage, but the submachine gun's firepower always has an advantage. Lin Yan is like a calm battlefield butcher. The combat mission, 100 Beast Slash, has been completed. You receive task rewards. Skill upgrades +1, below level E, unconsciously, 100 monster missions had been completed. Lin Yan opened the system panel and used this skill upgrade opportunity on Precision Shooting, F.level. Precision Shooting, level F, data hit, level E. In the moment after upgrading to Precision Shooting, Lin Yan felt his brain was activated. Gravity, wind direction, climate, updrafts, atmospheric humidity, sight accuracy, bullet boring speed, bullet center of gravity, wind strength, and other data are all presented in his brain and quickly analyzed. Including the target's movement speed, tendency, and angle, all became practical and predictable data in his mind. His brain was comparable to the most precise computer instrument, almost instinctively parsing the data to produce results, and every shot had absolute confidence in hitting the position he wanted to hit. Lin Yan couldn't help but be stunned. It was just an E.level skill that could be so terrifying. He carefully thought about it, firstly because the damage of firearms themselves is limited, which limits the rating of shooting skills, and secondly, from his current perspective, he would feel that this level is extremely terrifying. However, if he stands from a high enough angle, for example, the basic requirement of a perfect level body method is to control the environment. Oh, why do you think it's even more terrifying? That's a requirement for a perfect level body technique, not even at the God of War level. Lin Yan felt like he had taken a huge advantage, and the value of this E.level skill far exceeded his imagination. He pulled the trigger. Hitting the eye of a bloodthirsty tank, which is one of the best among pig monsters with standard rough skin and thick flesh, this bloodthirsty tank looks fierce and imposing. If it weren't for the confidence to hit a weak spot like the eye, he wouldn't even have fired at it. It's purely a waste of bullets. Kill one F.level monster and reward 4 soul power points. It is indeed an F.level monster, but if it is an E.level monster at the level of a low.level beast general, it may not be fatal even if it hits the eyes. During the evolution of monsters, their defense has been greatly enhanced, and most monsters do not leave obvious weaknesses. The M64 is just a regular standard firearm. If replaced with a heavy machine gun from the Vulcan series, it can indeed kill beast generals, but its physical fitness is not enough to support its use. Above the sky, a huge frosty black bird gazed at the ground, reaching an astonishing length of 16 meters. Its gaze was sharp, searching for the battlefield. Lin Yan appeared in its cold pupils. It let out a cry, spread its wings, and then passed through the clouds, heading straight towards Lin Yan's location. And below, Lin Yan happened to see its movement from the site. Danger, he shouted loudly, his scalp suddenly tingling, and the extreme sense of crisis made his eyes turn red. Danger, danger, danger! He was very certain that the frost Suanio was coming towards him, and his speed had already exceeded the speed of sound, so he couldn't avoid it at all. No. Even if you can't avoid it, you have to avoid it. His gaze was fixed on the frosty black bird in the sky, analyzing its flight trajectory, and he felt an infinite burst of potential inside. I can definitely avoid it. He was adjusting his position based on the flight data of the frost Suanio, but the warrior beside him had not yet reacted. The next second, the huge frost Suanio had already descended. Boom! The entire position has been flattened. It is summer, but by its side, the air directly enters below zero, as if enveloped in mist, and the surface is covered with a thin layer of frost. This is a high-level beast-level frost mysterious bird, and there is no one here to resist its casual strike. What a beast! A furious roar could be heard in the distance. Lin Yan didn't care much and quickly ran towards that direction. The frost Xian bird didn't forget its original goal. The monster's intelligence needed to be comparable to that of a war god's lord level to be comparable to normal humans. It was just a high-level beast general, although it also had some intelligence, it didn't have the ability to make immediate judgments when it saw the situation. In the distance, there was already a machine gun position transferring the muzzle, but the crackling bullets on its body shook off with just one spread of its wings. Not even a feather was injured. Lin Yan felt like his lungs were struggling to breathe like a bellows. He had really put in a lot of effort this time. Although the frost Suanio behind him was not easy to accelerate in such a position, he was relentlessly chasing after him, easily catching up with him again. Who? The wings of the frost mysterious bird are about to pass over him, and it will soon be the end of death without a whole body. Just at this moment, 6 flying knives swiftly flew past his eyes, making a sound of gold and iron clashing with the wings of the frost Xian bird. Ah! The frost mysterious bird let out a mournful cry, its body cut with flying knives and covered in bloodstains, devoid of any desire to fight. Its cold gaze swept over them, and with a flick of its wings, it flew into the sky again. Lin Yan tried his best to collapse to the ground, but this time he didn't fall into a coma again, but a problem kept swirling in his mind. Why do we have to make such a mess every time? This frost Suanio is close to the lord level and has strong strength. I can't keep it either. A man wearing a black and silver combat uniform said, his body surrounded by 6 flying knives, and the cold light could be seen. This is the method of a spiritual master. Lin Yan was still able to think about it, so he didn't expect the monster to only get beaten and not fight back. It's okay, at least he saved his life, but... He turned his head, but all the soldiers around him had just sacrificed their lives. I couldn't help but feel a bit sad. The spiritual master also lowered his eyelids and said in a deep voice, this is how it is on the battlefield. They are all very brave, and so are you. You have now entered the realm of warriors, so please bear the souls of these fallen soldiers and continue to fight. Under the setting sun. Smoke and war. Guns and shouts. He said. Behind us are our unarmed compatriots and our homeland. Yesterday I received the signed website short message. Brothers, you can take a wave of investment first, still seeking collection and recommended tickets. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Martial Arts Assessment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 6 Martial Arts Assessment Main Task. Main Task. The Path of the Strong has been completed, congratulations on receiving the task reward. Ultimate Guidance Technique. Supreme Induction, Host. Lin Yan Realm. Junior Warrior Soul Power. 332 Skills. Guidance Technique. Taishang Induction, Ultimate, Swordsmanship. Thunderbolt Sword, D. Level, 5th level, Data Hit, E. Level, Passive Skill. Hot Weapon Specialization, Level F, Equipment. None Main Task. Path of the Strong. Upgrade the realm to the general level, task reward. Opening of the second skill tree, Mind Master, finally becoming a warrior. Lin Yan breathed a sigh of relief and withdrew from the defense line. He went to the cafeteria for dinner first, and then immediately went to the Military Region Affairs Office to apply for martial arts assessment and obtain the Gene Original Ability Cultivation Method. Guiding technique is used in conjunction with the Gene Primitive Cultivation Method. Without obtaining the cultivation method, one's own guiding technique will not be useful. Now I am sitting in the office hall of the affairs office waiting. If he is in school, he needs to undergo a quasi-warrior assessment at the Extreme Martial Arts School, and then pass the warrior practical assessment to obtain the warrior qualification. This warrior's actual combat assessment is conducted twice a year. The Extreme Martial Arts School is a world-class force, and even in terms of high-end combat power, it far surpasses the government and military of China. The martial arts verification certificate issued by them is the most authoritative in the world, and some military warriors will go to the Extreme Martial Arts School for assessment. But Lin Yan doesn't care about anything authoritative or not. When I stomp down and the building collapses, will anyone question my martial arts qualifications for not being authoritative enough? If I slap him, he might die. Don't meddle in your next life. The military also has the power to review the qualifications of warriors, and with their rank as second lieutenant, they will adjust their assessment time as soon as possible. Lin Yan looked at the second stage of the main mission, upgraded to the level of a general, which opened the second skill tree, and couldn't help but recall the scene on the battlefield today. 6 flying knives were driven like arms, and the Frost Suanio, who was unharmed even under the torrent of bullets, was covered in blood under the flying knives. Is it a spiritual teacher? I'm really looking forward to it. Lin Yan. The office staff called his name. Lin Yan walked over and the staff took him into the elevator. They pressed the 3rd floor button, and as soon as the elevator door opened, they could directly see a large practice hall. There are dozens of large instruments placed inside. Lin Yan is no stranger to this. He has such testing instruments in both the Extreme Martial Arts School and within the school. Please wait a moment. The staff walked to the adjacent control panel, opened 3 different testing instruments for debugging, and then turned on the surveillance camera in the training hall, recording the testing process and results 360 degrees without blind spots. After a while, several soldiers wearing military uniforms walked out of the elevator with folders in their hands. The person in front of him was an elderly man with gray hair, wearing a pair of silver-rimmed eyes and looking very kind. He asked, "Are you Lin Yan?" Lin Yan stood up and saluted, "Yes, Chief." With his eyesight, he was able to distinguish that the examiners in front of him who were responsible for evaluating his potential martial artists were all martial artists. "Okay, Xiaotong, go check if the debugging results of the instrument are normal. If they are, let's proceed to the testing phase." As soon as he finished speaking, a middle-aged man behind him walked over to the instrument and tested the results of its debugging. He soon returned, giving the old man a positive answer. The old man nodded and said to Lin Yan, "Let's start. First, test your fist power." Lin Yan walked up to the target of his fist, his body trembling with qi and blood. His waist and hips were in harmony, his limbs and spine were stretched out like 5 large bows, and his fist was like an arrow. Bang! The display screen displays the test results. 1,182 kilograms. The qualified line is just 900 kilograms. A few people nodded, quite satisfied, and the old man said, "Fist strength test passed, move on to the next item, speed." As a well-known undergraduate student at the National Defense University, Lin Yan's speed has always been his weakness. It was only under the threat of the frost mysterious bird that he made a breakthrough and reached the level of a warrior. Lin Yan walked onto the track and began a speed test. He looked calm, but with a step, he suddenly exerted force. He recalled the scene of the frost Suanio chasing after him on the battlefield during the day. At that moment, he overcame his psychological fear and also broke through his physiological limits, achieving a certain level of transcendence in life. The path of warriors is the path of evolution. He was as fast as a gust of wind, rushing out of the speed testing area. The large red characters on the display screen come into view. 27.3 meters per second. Lin Yan only felt that his speed had improved, and with the certification of the high-level warrior level spiritual master, he firmly believed that he had reached the level of a warrior. After all, he is a spiritual thinker with extremely strong spiritual power, so he won't make mistakes in such things. Moreover, the system has already given him all the warrior level rewards. But without formal testing, he didn't know to what extent he had achieved. Seeing the numbers on the screen, he couldn't help but be delighted. This is already much beyond the qualified line of 25 meters per second. I didn't expect this breakthrough in life and death to bring such a great improvement to myself. Very good, the old man recorded his score and announced directly, "Pass." Next item is the neural response test. The instruments for neural response testing are much larger than the other two. In the training hall, there are several fist strength testing machines and several speed testing machines each, while there is only one neural response testing room. It's like a separate room in a practice hall. Lin Yan walked into the neural response testing room, which had a space of about 100 square meters. Inside was a huge muzzle-shaped instrument, with dozens of muzzles inside. When the test starts, the muzzle will rotate, and the program set inside the instrument will shoot rubber red bullets through dozens of muzzles at irregular speeds and flight paths. Please stand within this circle, and we will begin the assessment. Lin Yan walked into a circle with a diameter of 3.6 meters in front of the muzzle. The old man saw that Lin Yan was ready and said, "Let's start." The switch is immediately turned on. The edge of the circle emitted a hazy red light upwards. Lin Yan was surrounded by the red light inside the circle. During the test, if his body touched the red light, he would be deducted points. If he left the circle, his test score would be directly unqualified. This is a common testing rule that can be learned in schools and martial arts schools, so they did not elaborate on it too much. The muzzle has started to rotate. And Lin Yan's data hit skill is also crazily calculating at this moment. He can analyze the flight trajectory and speed of each bullet from the moment it exits the muzzle, and countless data enter his mind. After calculation, it provides him with the most effective avoidance method. Only bullets that cannot be avoided due to insufficient physical response will hit his body. Several judges and examiners looked at Lin Yan's performance in the audience and looked at each other. One person asked, "Is this a neural response?" The other person said speechlessly, "I've seen thousands of martial arts assessments before. I've made the neural response test look like this for the first time today." Several people were discussing, "What kind of brain is this? Whether you accept it or not, I will accept it anyway. How dare I refuse? I can't do it. Lying down, I feel quite proud when I say it." Finally, the old man made a decision and said, "I have observed that his physical reaction ability is also very good. Although this testing method is rare, it also proves his ability. It is unreasonable to blame him on his grades. Within 60 seconds, hit twice without touching the red light. Full marks for intermediate warrior level, excellent for advanced warrior level. Lin Yan himself was shocked. His neural response test barely met the standard during the school test, but with the bonus of his data hit skill, he seemed to be completely transformed and achieved such perfect results. When he walked out of the testing room, the reviewer gave him a thumbs up. Lin Yan, the old man walked over and shook hands with Lin Yan. Your test results have been recorded in the file, and your identity as a quasi-warrior will soon be entered into your citizenship information. I hope that in the future, you can continue to work hard and become a powerful warrior with steel will. Thank you, Chief. The old man said, this is our responsibility. Director Liu of the Affairs Department is waiting for you in the office. You go quickly. Yes, Chief. Lin Yan saluted. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Breaking Army Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Breaking Army Sword. Lin Yan took the elevator from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor. He was dressed in military uniform, standing straight like a javelin, standing at the entrance of the director's office and loudly saying, "Report. Come in." There was a refined-looking middle-aged man in military uniform sitting in the office, his hair mixed with white hair, meticulously combed. Please have a seat. Lin Yan sat in his seat. Director Liu flipped through the documents on the desk and said after a while, "Congratulations, you have successfully passed the quasi-warrior assessment. An 18-year-old warrior is not ordinary. And this score." He didn't witness Lin Yan's testing process with his own eyes. Looking at the results of the neural response test above, he almost thought he had made a mistake. But when I think about it, I think it's impossible. In such a situation, there will definitely be no mistakes in the test results. Lin Yan sat upright and did not feel proud of others' praise. The leader praised me too much. Director Liu smiled and shook his head, then directly opened the door to the mountain and said, "Regarding your application for practical combat assessment of martial artists, the military region has issued a document and agreed to your application. However, the form may be different. Of course, you can also choose to refuse, so that we will conduct a unified practical assessment of all quasi-martial artists after the beast tide." Lin Yan had some doubts and said, "What? What are the differences in form?" Director Liu of the Affairs Office explained, "The leader of the Military Region Security Department, Liu Mingxuan, has learned that you have now been promoted to the level of a warrior. He has applied to transfer you to join the newly formed Temporary Special Operations Team to carry out a secret mission together with him, which will take place deep into the wilderness area." Ah! Lin Yan was a bit confused. He just asked for advice on swordsmanship and transferred me away directly. Regardless of whether the mission is successful or not, after successfully returning from the wilderness, you will pass the warrior review and obtain the warrior qualification. Lin Yan secretly roasted, "That's not true. I've gone deep into the wilderness, and I can't come back without that level." Lin Yan thought for a moment and asked, "May I know the detailed content of this secret mission?" Director Liu smiled and said, "If you choose to agree, Captain Liu Mingxuan will coordinate with you and introduce you to the mission objectives of this mission. However, the danger of this task is very high, and I hope you can consider it carefully." Lin Yan pondered for a moment and realized that Liu Mingxuan didn't look like any unreliable person. He didn't have any conflicts with him, so there was no need to harm himself. He also owed him a favor by asking him for advice on swordsmanship. Moreover, he has no experience in entering wilderness areas. If he joins this special operations team and has the care of other team members, he can also grow more quickly. Taking some risks is also worth it. I agree. Okay, the code name of your special operations team is Starry. I will arrange for someone to take you to your combat base later. Now, I will teach you the gene ability cultivation method. Director Liu tapped the keyboard on the desk in front of him a few times, and an article appeared on the transparent large screen next to Lin Yan. Lin Yan carefully read the content of the article. By optimizing genes to the level of a warrior, one can absorb energy from the universe and integrate into human cells. During this process, bones, cells, blood, organs, skin, and more will evolve. This integrates cosmic energy into cells and becomes its own energy, which is genetic energy. On Earth, there is only one method of cultivating genetic energy, which is the 5 Hearts Towards Heaven cultivation method. The article was not long, and Lin Yan quickly memorized it. Director Liu saw that he had memorized the content of the article before speaking up. Your genetic optimization level has reached the qualified line for cultivating genetic original energy. You can try to cultivate after returning. However, the efficiency of the 5 Hearts to Heaven cultivation method in absorbing energy is not high. As a student of the National Defense University, you should also be aware of the existence of guidance techniques. Through guidance techniques, you can increase the capacity of cells and increase the effective time of cultivation, so as to improve the cultivation efficiency by several to tens of times. However, this kind of guidance technique is very precious. The military district's suggestion regarding your training is to open up your access to the complete set of 5 series combat equipment, as well as the secret scripts for guiding, body techniques, and attack techniques with 10,000 merit points for you to choose from. You may not be familiar enough with the merit value of the military system. Let me briefly introduce it. Compared with the online shopping mall of Extreme Martial Arts School, 10,000 merit values have purchasing power of over 100 million Chinese coins. This is the highest training standard within the military. An 18-year-old warrior is a very valuable talent. He looked at Lin Yan's file, which records his performance in the army. He proficiently mastered the Thunderbolt sword before reaching the warrior level, even approaching the 5th level. His firearms were even excellent, and he repeatedly killed F-level monsters with the M64 sniper rifle. This reflects that Lin Yan not only has outstanding talent and astonishing intelligence, but also possesses excellent military qualities and combat talents. The military district evaluates Lin Yan as an S-level talent, which has great training value. This level of cultivation surprised Lin Yan a bit. He was only a junior warrior, but it was rare for him to be granted the permission to receive 5. Series combat equipment directly. However, it also indirectly indicates that the military region has relatively high expectations for the progress speed of Lin Yan. Director Liu tapped the keyboard in his hand, and many patterns immediately appeared on the large screen next to Lin Yan. This is the secret code exchange system within the army. You can choose it. After all, you are about to execute a task, and enhancing your own strength is very important. Upon closer inspection, Lin Yan was somewhat surprised. He had originally thought that Hong's Annihilation and Thunder God's Ninefold Thunder Blade only existed in their martial arts school online shopping mall, but did not expect them to exist in the military's exchange system as well. It seems that some kind of agreement has been reached. Exchange up to 10 million merit points, enjoy half-price discount on military ranks, and also require 5 million merit points. Looking at Lin Yan, he couldn't help but suffer from selection difficulties. He had a system in hand, but in reality, there was no urgent need for these secret scripts. His supreme induction guidance technique was even judged to be the ultimate. On Earth, it is definitely the top tier. Moreover, the 2 strongest people on Earth, one using a gun and the other using a knife, have a higher affinity with battle swords, and there is no need to change their path due to their own reasons. Their secrets are not applicable to themselves. He flipped through the screen and saw SS-level sword technique above, which lit up his eyes. Breaking Army Sword, Category. Swordsmanship. Evaluation. SS level. Price. 1 million merit points, full price, 500,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Colonel rank, this breaking army sword is quite famous to him. It is the swordsmanship of the former president of the National Defense University. It is said that the former president joined the highest special task department of the government after breaking through from the god of war to the planet level, making him a top powerhouse in China. But whether it is merit or military rank, one's own conditions are not met. He opened the detailed content of Breaking Army Sword and saw that it was divided into 9 parts, which contained matching guidance techniques. However, these 9 items can be split and bought separately. Breaking Army Sword in all 9 parts. Price: 1 million merit points, full price, 500,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Colonel rank, the first 8 parts of Breaking Army Sword. Price: 500,000 merit points, full price, 250,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Colonel rank, the first 4 parts of Breaking Army Sword. Price: 20,000 merit points, full price, 10,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Captain rank, the first 3 parts of Breaking Army Sword. Price: 10,000 merit points, full price, 5,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Lieutenant rank, the first 2 parts of Breaking Army Sword. Price: 5,000 merit value, full price, 2,500 merit value, half price, requirement. Lieutenant rank, part 1 of Breaking Army Sword. Price: 2,000 merit points, full price, 1,000 merit points, half price, requirement. Second lieutenant rank, my rank is only lieutenant, and I only enjoy a half-price discount on the first tier. If I buy the first 3 tiers at full price, I feel like I'm losing money. The true blood loss is 1 billion. Director Liu looked at Lin Yan's troubled expression and immediately guessed what he was struggling with. He smiled and said, "Based on your performance in the Beast Tide War and now that you have become a warrior, your military rank can be promoted, but these things will only be uniformly evaluated by the military district after the war. However, considering your special circumstances, I can give you a special permission to purchase the first 4 at half price." The 1 billion yuan in blood loss has returned. Lin Yan happily clicked to purchase the first 4 parts of Breaking Army Sword. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Eve of Dawn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Eve of Dawn. Okay, you can directly claim the complete set of 5 series combat equipment from the arsenal. I will mark the secret script of Breaking Army Sword as urgent and it will be delivered to you tonight. And for firearms, your claim authority has been increased. This mission allows you to carry 4 series of weapons and ammunition. Lin Yan couldn't help but feel a little excited. This can be considered a switch of guns. The combat equipment of the 5 series can deal with the attacks and defenses of most medium beast-level monsters, while the firearms of the 4 series are sufficient to deal damage to low-level beast-level monsters. In a sense, this is already the limit of portable firearms. Plus, I still have 332 points of soul power, which is enough to directly increase my combat power by a few steps. Alright, you go to the barracks to pack your things now. I will arrange for someone to take you to the workplace of the Star Special Forces. Lin Yan stood up and saluted. Yes, Chief. He went straight back to the barracks to pack up his personal belongings, but in fact, he didn't have much. The military had strict regulations, and many things were not allowed to be carried. Wang Bing had been waiting for a long time, and he pounced over with an excited expression on his face. Lin Yan heard that you are already a warrior. Lin Yan was somewhat speechless. Who said this all to? How could I be so informed when I came down from the battlefield and went directly to the affairs office for assessment? He felt that if Wang changed his jumping personality, he should not be a soldier, but rather a spy. Yeah. Lin Yan stopped the excited monkey's tendency to pounce. I almost got killed by a broken bird on the battlefield, but it was a blessing in disguise and finally crossed the threshold of a warrior. Wei Xinran also lowered his head and sighed. The battlefield is indeed full of dangers. I feel like I have made a lot of progress, but I am still a bit far from being a warrior. He also encountered danger today. A tiger mastiff beast rushed up to his position, and he even smelled the strong stench in its bloody mouth. The cold light on its sharp teeth almost bit him into pieces. Fortunately there was no danger. However, even so, it is still a matter of shock and uncertainty. Wang Bian said casually, I have confidence in myself. I will definitely become a warrior before the start of school. Don't be discouraged. We are soldiers, and we were born to bear these responsibilities. Only by becoming stronger can we live better. Lin Yan's eyes lit up with a hint of strangeness, which didn't seem like anything he could say, and upon reflection, it truly resembled his style. In fact, among the three of them, Wei Xinran had the best talent, but his temperament was somewhat indecisive, lacking a bit of courage and determination. Lin Yan smiled and said, when the time comes, we will all become warriors and return to school together, which will be a great sight. Wang smiled and said, yes, yes. Wei Xinran looked at their optimistic expression and was also quite infected. He asked, who is next to you? The staff of the affairs office were waiting, and he did not lose patience due to their conversation. Instead, he stood quietly on the side. Lin Yan explained, oh, it's from the affairs office. After becoming a martial artist, I was transferred to participate in a mission. I'm afraid I won't be able to see him recently. He helped me lead the way to a new workplace. In the military, this situation is very common. It is the duty of a soldier to obey orders. Upon hearing these words, Wang Bing and Wei Xinran immediately went to the barracks with Lin Yan to help him pack his things. Before leaving, they gave him a hug alone. Brother, be careful when carrying out tasks. Lin Yan smiled and said, you too. We all need to survive. For someone who knows the direction of the story well, he knows that when Luo Feng is born, the civilization of the earth will embark on a brand new and bright future. Monsters can no longer compete with humans, and humans will head towards the vast sea of stars. At this moment, it is the eve of dawn. However, for him, rather than waiting for the arrival of dawn, he prefers to become a sharp blade that pierces through the night. Compared to the protagonist of that story, he can also be sharp and impeccable. Arrive at the location. Lin Yan stood at the entrance of an abandoned warehouse in a military district, carrying things. The camera at the entrance emitted a hazy light. The light immediately disappeared. Lin Yan was puzzled. Soon, a figure wearing a combat uniform opened the door of the warehouse. His combat mask was transparent, and the appearance inside was very young. He looked at Lin Yan curiously and closed the door again when Lin Yan walked in. He didn't speak, just made a gesture to signal Lin Yan to follow. In front of him was indeed just an abandoned warehouse, with containers scattered everywhere, and scattered maps or manuscripts on the ground. Turning through a corridor, my eyes suddenly changed. The silver metal gate, like a science fiction film, revealed a secret base before his eyes, inside which were placed various precision instruments, with bright lights as bright as day. 2 soldiers armed with firearms are guarding the entrance. Without obstructing them, they entered the base directly and arrived at the conference room. Report Lin Yan threw his personal belongings outside the conference room and stood at the door shouting loudly. Come in. The cold voice of Liu Mingxuan came from the conference room. Lin Yan strode into the room with a shooting star, adding the young man who had just picked him up. There were a total of 7 people, with Liu Mingxuan standing at the top and something playing on the large screen next to him. Lin Yan, a reserve member of the Star Special Forces, is reporting to you. Pushi. An unfriendly voice appeared. Lin Yan still stood up straight, glanced at the source of the sound, feeling a bit familiar, and then realized that it was the person he met on the training ground yesterday. My name seems to be Jia Yan. No, Liu Mingxuan, what do you think? This kid shouldn't be a warrior yet. Did you transfer him here to make him die? Jia Yan was really angry. Although he disliked Liu Mingxuan very much, he didn't expect that besides pretending to be aloof, he still had no sense of propriety. What is their combat mission? Go deep into the wilderness. Joining someone who is not a warrior will only be a burden. Report to the leader, I have passed the quasi-warrior test. The arrangement from the military region is that I will join this mission and serve as my warrior's actual combat assessment. Jia Yan was furious when he heard this. Are you playing? What is the practical assessment for martial artists? A group of people are gathered in Monster Town, killing a group of low-level monsters, with troops guarding nearby. If their strength is not enough, they can choose to withdraw in a timely manner. Is a wilderness area a place for assessment? Jia Yan stood up and stared closely at Lin Yan, not angry or intimidating, like a fierce beast that devoured people. I question your ability to join the Star Special Operations team. I will report to the military district as the deputy captain of the Special Operations team and cancel your membership, he said. Lin Yan was dressed in a green military uniform, looking straight at Jia Yan, holding his head in chest high, neither humble nor arrogant. I am willing to accept the inspection of the vice captain to prove that I have sufficient strength to handle this position. Newcomers and new books are often difficult. I hope everyone can support me by seeking recommended tickets, collecting and investing. If anyone has any ideas, please feel free to give me feedback in the comments section. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Characteristics. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Characteristics. Okay. Jia Yan laughed back in anger and shouted loudly. He really doesn't believe it. A person who has just become a warrior can still turn the tide. Liu Mingxuan quietly watched everything happening without speaking. I am a medium-sized general, and I won't be able to compete with you. Chen Lian, you come and try this guy's tactics. I want to see where he comes from and dare to accept the test of his confidence. The young man who just picked up Lin Yan raised his eyebrows, thought for a moment, but stood up without choosing to refuse. Although he also felt that Captain Liu's actions were somewhat childish, he was still curious to know what skills Lin Yan had. But Lin Yan has not yet received combat equipment. Chen Lian is a bit in a dilemma. He is just a senior warrior and cannot control his strength so well. If he seriously injured Lin Yan, it would be a bad thing. Use mine. Liu Mingxuan said indifferently. He was dressed in black military uniform and did not wear combat uniforms, but his combat uniforms and weapons are now in the base. Jia Yan didn't say anything. He knew that Liu Mingxuan's equipment was a 7 series, but that happened so well that it wouldn't really hurt Lin Yan. Just drive Lin Yan away. He hates these ignorant new recruits the most. Even the Heavenly King Laozi doesn't know who he is with just a little bit of grades. In his opinion, Liu Mingxuan lent the equipment to Lin Yan because he was also worried that Lin Yan's strength would be too poor and he might have an accident. A warrior sitting next to him shrugged and went directly to retrieve Liu Mingxuan's equipment. They are usually in the army, but there is rarely such excitement to watch. The two of them left the conference room and arrived in a spacious room next to them. Others stood by and watched. Lin Yan put on his combat uniform and looked at the Tiangang battle sword in his hand, feeling a little hot in his heart. Skill Inheritance. 1. Swordsmanship. All things / A. Level, 4th level, skill owner. Liu Mingxuan requires 80 soul power to learn. I didn't expect this skill to reach me so quickly. After deducting 80 points of soul power, swordsmanship. All things / appeared in his skill column. This swordsmanship is exceptionally domineering and has extremely destructive power. Lin Yan has already understood it in his heart. Unfortunately, it cannot be used. He's a bit regretful. Unlike the Thunderbolt sword, he has no record of learning to slay all things. If he uses it regularly, it will inevitably arouse suspicion. Moreover, D-level swordsmanship is just ordinary, and the secret scripts are generally widely circulated. Even without learning records, it cannot explain anything. A-level swordsmanship is already advanced, and major forces are strictly controlled. It can only be used as a trump card to strengthen one's own foundation. You have mastered 2 swordsmanship skills, consume 200 soul power, can learn swordsmanship specialization, passive, S.level, master swordsmanship, automatically generate swordsmanship, characteristics, can be universal, do you want to learn? A prompt pops up in the system. Lin Yan blinked and couldn't understand what it meant, but with an S.level passive skill, 200 soul power is worth it. Yes. You have mastered the swordsmanship specialization, passive, S.level, the swordsmanship, all things / A.level, generation feature, sharpness, and the thunderbolt sword, D.level, generation feature, thunderbolt. Lin Yan closed his eyes, felt the sword in his hand, and then opened his eyes with a smile on his lips. Come on. Chen Lian looked at the guy in front of him who had just become a warrior, feeling that there had been some kind of change in his body, but he couldn't see where the change occurred. He unsheathed his blood-red shadow sword in his hand, his eyes sharp, searching for the flaws in Lin Yan's body. Stone shatters the sky. The blood-red shadow of the knife reflected into Lin Yan's pupils, transforming his strength, angle, speed, and the inherent energy into data. Through continuous analysis in his mind, his dynamic vision reached a terrifying level, and the shadow of the knife slowed down in his gaze. The Heavenly Gang battle sword is pierced. Chen Lian felt a tremendous force hitting his weapon, and his grip on the knife was almost unstable. He pondered in his heart, this guy has some tricks. Liu Mingxuan's eyebrows relaxed, and this sword was just right. At that time, Chen Lian's old strength had been exhausted with one strike, but new strength had not yet emerged. Lin Yan's sword steadily pierced the blade, disrupting Chen Lian's attack. It seems to be even better than I expected. The two of them moved around the room, exchanging swords, and for a moment, they were evenly matched. It seems that Chen Lian has been on the offensive all along, and Lin Yan can only do his best to resist. However, everyone present is very discerning, so naturally it can be seen that although Chen Lian's attack is fierce, it has not really posed a threat to Lin Yan. His neural responsibility is very strong. Although his body movements have not been systematically learned and some are not organized, he can still adjust his position well every time, making Chen Lian's attacks unable to produce the expected effect. It's not just a matter of neural reactivity, it can be said that he has combat talent. His method of adjusting his position is not purely based on reaction, but often has already predicted his movements before Chen Lian takes action. Where did Captain Liu dig up the treasure? They were discussing extensively. The neural responsibility can be improved by cultivating genetic abilities, but combat talent is not easy to cultivate. These people have special talents in combat, body training, and attack techniques. It's not an exaggeration to say something precious. As Jia Yan watched the battle on the field, his impression of Lin Yan being ignorant of his superiority was swept away. He let go of his thoughts and had the ability to join the special operations team. Moreover, he also has a nearly perfect thunderbolt sword. Thinking of this, he heard a muffled thunder in his ear. He instinctively looked at Liu Mingxuan, who had risen to prominence through this swordsmanship. His eyes were bright, and he was mesmerized by the battles on the field. Strength runs through step by step. 5 layers of dark energy blend into the sword body. The characteristics of thunder and sharpness are perfectly unleashed in this sword. The sword was slashed out, and the air sounded like muffled thunder. Chen Lian also felt the danger of this sword and exerted all his strength. His strongest move was to compete with Lin Yan. Bang! Gold and iron strike. Lin Yan's figure suddenly retreated, flipped to the ground, and blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. Chen Lian leaned on a knife, half bowed, panting in the field. After a while, he lifted his head, his eyes flickering, and his young face showed determination. You haven't started practicing genetic energy yet, have you? Lin Yan fell silent for a moment, slowly stood up from the ground, and his gaze remained calm as he said, yes. Chen Lian nodded and stood up straight. He lifted his mask with his left hand and then grabbed the knife. His right hand, which was originally holding the knife, trembled for a moment. He bit off his gloves and showed his right hand in front of everyone. There was blood dripping from above. He smiled lightly and said, I lost. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Saving Soldier Zhang Wei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Saving Soldier Zhang Wei. Everyone present was silent. Strictly speaking, their final pure power struggle did not distinguish between high and low. This is also the reason why Chen Lian asked. You haven't started practicing genetic energy yet, have you? No, there isn't. After being exposed to the cultivation of genetic energy, everyone will have a rapid upward period at the beginning. The first successful absorption of cosmic energy may even increase one's strength by more than half. A person who has not yet been exposed to genetic training can be evenly matched with a senior warrior, which cannot be shirked for any reason. That's why he said, I lost. To be honest, although Chen Lian may not be considered a powerful warrior among senior warriors, he also has his own pride. He has just turned 19 years old, and many people believe that he can become a general before the age of 20. This is his exceptional talent. But looking at Lin Yan in front of him at this moment, it was difficult for him to feel proud. The sword flashed through his mind again. Your thunder sword has reached its 5th level. Jia Yan was a bit incredulous. He saw on the training ground yesterday that he was only in the 4th round, which was only 1 point short. However, it was not so easy to break through. Lin Yan replied, yes. No. Liu Mingxuan stood up, he himself was an expert in the thunder sword and saw more than others. It's not just the 5th layer. He furrowed his brow slightly, recalling the sword in his mind, which was an unparalleled swordsmanship even his 5th tier thunderbolt sword could not match. Then I saw Lin Yan looking at me with his mouth open in confusion, which could only be attributed to his exceptional talent. He just shook his head and said, I almost suspect you were making fun of me yesterday. My thunderbolt sword cannot compare to you. Lin Yan was a bit sweaty. My thunderbolt sword has added special effects on top of yours, so it's normal that you can't compete with it, but the others around were even more shocked when they heard this. Not just the 5th level thunder sword. What does it mean? This guy has opened the skylight to the sky. Chen Lian looked at their expressions and felt a little better. It wasn't that I was too incompetent, it was this person who was too demonic. Liu Mingxuan put an end to this matter and said, everyone welcomes Lin Yan to join our Star Special Forces. Passionate applause echoed in my ears. Although Jia Yan looked very arrogant, fortunately he could afford it and let it go. Seeing Lin Yan's demonstrated strength, he stopped nitpicking and applauded along. Okay, Liu Mingxuan looked around and said, Xiangyang, go get the appropriate medicine for them. We will continue with the content of the combat meeting now. In fact, with their physical condition, this minor skin injury is not a big deal, but since they are in their own stronghold, using medication can help them recover faster. They returned to the conference room with their group. Lin Yan originally thought that the person who helped them get medicine was named Xiang Mingyang, so he directly called him Xiang Gu. However, his name was Bu Xiangyang. There is also one person who is his younger brother, called Bu Wenxing, who are all high-level warriors. In addition, there was a high-level warrior who was skilled in using firearms, named Li Tao. Lin Yan glanced at him more and didn't know how his shooting skills compared to himself. You can have a chance to compete. The last remaining one is called Chu Wei, a junior general-level warrior who uses a sword. However, the reason why his sword needs to be taken out is that 9-fold Thunder Blade. Thunderbolt Martial Arts School Master Thunder Gods, 9-fold Thunderbolt Saber. This knife technique is not only expensive, but also particularly difficult to learn, so although it has a great reputation, very few people choose this secret script, and even fewer know it. 3 generals. For advanced warriors. Add an additional luxurious lineup. Lin Yan felt a bit speechless in his heart. How did he think about it? How could he discover this fairy flower like me? The goal of this mission is this person. Liu Mingxuan pointed to the photo that appeared on the display screen, and the shoulder badge on the military uniform was only a private soldier. He had a small head, an unattractive appearance, and was 1.7 meters tall. The smile in front of the camera was very approachable. This is a reconnaissance soldier from the Night Eagle Reconnaissance Company of the 6th Army, named Zhang Wei. Lin Yan felt a thump in his heart, couldn't it be so coincidental? Regional task. 3 is saving Private Zhang Wei. Private Zhang Wei from the Night Eagle Reconnaissance Company in the Northern Military Region seems to have discovered the secret of the Beast Tide and is currently in danger. Please launch a rescue operation against Private Zhang Wei. If the target of the task dies, the task will automatically become invalid. Task reward. SS level body method, Ghost. The target of the side task on the system panel is the cheerful young man on the display screen. Lin Yan has always believed that the system will release this task with ulterior motives. This matter is very necessary for investigation, and he also wants to save the soldier named Zhang Wei. However, he needs to obey orders in the army and cannot walk freely. He asked Wang He to help investigate, but there was no clue, so he did not have any hope. As a result, the military district unexpectedly set up a temporary special operations team for him, and he even joined in. He perked up and continued to listen to Liu Mingxuan's introduction. 5 days ago, there was a wave of animals invading the 021 defense line. In the 16th hour after the Beast Tide occurred, reconnaissance soldier Zhang Wei went missing after completing his mission. 2 days after the outbreak of the Beast Tide, which was 3 days ago, the public information channel of the military region received 2 messages. Help me. Yang Bin is related to the Beast Tide, and now. The information is not complete. The technical personnel of the military region have conducted a technical screening of this information and determined that it was sent by the communication instrument belonging to Private Zhang Wei of the Reconnaissance Company. When trying to trace the signal, it was found that his communication instrument electronic components were damaged and could not be traced. Liu Mingxuan pressed the remote control in his hand, and a photo of another person appeared on the display screen. This is Yang Bin mentioned in Zhang Wei's message. They are comrades in the same class. 3 hours before Zhang Wei last appeared in our system records, he also disappeared, and our surveillance footage did not show any footage of him leaving the military district. The image of him walking out of the cafeteria and the crowd appeared on the screen, and everything seemed normal. This is the last video recording of his figure appearing. Liu Mingxuan spoke with a heavy tone as he said, and yesterday, our soldiers found a dismembered body at position 314 on the map. Because there were fragments of our army's combat suit nearby, they sent it to the laboratory for testing. However, it may not be appropriate to say that the dismembered body is only liver tissue left after being swallowed by a monster. The bloody scene on the display screen is shocking. After identification, this liver tissue belongs to Yang Bin. However, forensic experts inferred from the DNA extracted from it and secretions such as monster saliva that Yang Bin's death time exceeded 7 days. Lin Yan was taken aback. The real Yang Bin had already died 7 days before the Beast Tide occurred. So, who was the Yang Bin that appeared afterwards? What information did Zhang Wei grasp in order to make a judgment that Yang Bin is related to the Beast Tide? The military region made technical diagnosis on Zhang Wei's message as far as possible, finally overcame the difficulties, locked the signal source in 032 city in the wilderness area, and then retrieved the satellite pictures, finally found the trace of Zhang Wei. And our task is to go deep into the wilderness, rescue Zhang Wei, and try our best to unravel the mystery behind this whole matter. The display screen will be replaced again. Everyone looked at the scene in silence and revered deeply. In the ruins of a dilapidated city, on the rooftop of an abandoned high-rise building, there is a dirty and messy person squatting on the ground, using ordinary paint to solemnly and devoutly depict a national flag. The contract has been sent out, but there are still various requests. It's so difficult to write about following the military route, crying angle, _, end of this chapter.